I think all guys want to have great big calves, but when it comes time to train them, seems to be on the last of everybody's list. Then they get exposed, and it's too late by then. Seems like today's day and age, the judging criteria has also placed the calves last on their list, taking nothing away from these incredible athletes. But this is your top three at the Olympia, and not one of these guys known for their calves whatsoever. And I find that rather disappointing, considering at one time calves seemed to be the top priority. And it's funny, every other muscle group has evolved and grew, and it seems like the calves actually got smaller. But anyway, today we are going to rewind back into the history of bodybuilding and take a look at some of the best calves of all time. This is Steve Reeves, and I generally begin with Steve Reeves. He was incredible, let's face it. And he definitely did not disappoint in the calf department. It was all about proportions. Today's guys, their quads are just so gosh darn big that it overwhelms their calves. Steve Reeves, I mean, look at his calves compared to his quads. That is perfect proportions. Here's Paul Winter, and I've talked about him recently quite often. I actually made a few videos about him a long time ago. Just incredible, so complete, and the calves included. Of course, footage is very rare of bodybuilders back then, so not too many pictures of Paul Winter displaying those calves. Here is Jim Hayslip, and you can really see with this dude how important the proportions were. I mean, compare it with a today's athlete where you don't even see the calves anymore. I mean, this guy, not too bad at all. Maybe not the best, but I think worth mentioning. And here's Sergio Oliva, known for being the, best of all time, small waistline, but did you ever see his calves? He had an enormous set of calves. Keep in mind those quads were ginormous, and he was in proportion. Little bit later on in his career, and he still looked like he had improved in that area. Not too many people talk about Sergio's calves, though, because Arnold Schwarzenegger was right there beside him. And Arnold, he was more known for his calves, and there is, of course, a story behind that. He lost back in the 60s against, I believe his name was Chet Yorton or Chester Yorton at the Universe, and the judges told him, it's because you're small calves. So Arnold had small calves, and then he reemerged with massive big calves. He made it his priority. So Arnold, known for that, quite a coup for Schwarzenegger, and goes to show you the importance that calves once did place. Here's Kenny Waller. The old t-shirt thief. Usually don't like to talk good about him because he stole Mike Katz's t-shirt. It was a docudrama, guys. Relax, I'm just joking. I'm just playing along with it. It's all about, Ken Waller. It's all about calves for him. And proportions again, guys. A lot of people talk bad about Kenny and think, Robbie Robinson should have beat him at the 75 Universe. But hey, look at those calves. Gotta give him his due. Here's a guy you didn't think, or you might not have thought would be in this video. Danny Padilla. Small, little, wee guy. Great, big, giant calves. He had the calves of a heavy person, an obese man. You ever see some of those obese guys? Just massive Olympia-type calves. Anybody know whose calves these belong to? A smaller guy. Usually don't have big calves, but this guy had tremendous calves, much like Danny Padilla. Anybody get it? It's Chris Dickerson, former Mr. Olympia champion. And when you're the Olympia champion, I guess you're celebrated more for your calves because, people try to follow suit. And actually, one thing that I noticed about these old school guys, they all had good calves, and for the most part, they did these. This was a training exercise, donkey calf raises. You bend over, and I believe bending over stretches the hamstrings out and pulls the calves even further. So you get a deep, good workout. But anyway, guys, for those of you who are dissing my man Chris, saying he was the least impressive Mr. Olympia champion of all time, you gotta give him his credit. He had some of the most fantastic calves of his time. Now, Tom Platz, he was around back then too. So it wasn't just Chris Dickerson. This guy had full-blown cows. Alright, Tominator did that joke. I believe he even said bulls at one time. I think that Bertil Fox is definitely worth to mention. He was known for those big arms, upper body, but he had huge calves as well. And food for thought, Bertil Fox had perhaps the best calves at the 1983 Mr. Olympia event. If you watch the video footage, things of that nature, I don't see too many people beating him in that area. Now let us take a stroll on into the 1990s. 1990s, the mass monster era, and the calves included Paul Dillette. Look at the calves on him. A mass monster, and the calves are in proportion, so they kept growing too. And I mean, Paul wasn't the only guy. I mean, look at the guy beside Paul. You see the size of his calves? That is none other than Nasser El-Sonbaty. And when I say proportions, this guy, nobody was as big as he was. And he was in proportion with those calves. Look at that. Of course, there is the possibility that he may have put something in there. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, take a look at Aaron Baker. A little before and after there. I think they were putting, it was possible to put implants in calves. But anyway, that is definitely documented. Some people did, in fact, do that. Mike Matarazzo, I don't believe, did. I think this guy had the biggest, rawest calves of all the 1990s. I mean, take a look, ladies and gentlemen. That does not look artificial like what we've seen with Aaron Baker. I mean, that was kind of obvious, and maybe Nasser too, but I don't want to point the finger at the, somebody putting calf implants when they didn't. But gotta respect Mike Matarazzo. And then there's Dorian Yates. He was the Olympia champion. And much like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Chris Dickerson before him, you're gonna be known more for your body parts, even if they're a weaker body part or a stronger body part, like the calves. But of course, a side-by-side of Dorian Yates and Mike Matarazzo proves that Matarazzo had the better calves. But it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Dorian Yates probably on more lists for having the greatest calves of all time. On into the 2000s, there was some mass monsters like Art Atwood. He was in proportion. And another guy, Marcus Urul, to be that big and to be proportioned in the calves. Remarkable, remarkable. Jay Cutler, not known for his calves, but he was a big Hostetler stud. He was in proportion and nice and cut too, those calves. Of course, you people often forget about Jay Cutler and his calves because Branch Warren was right there beside him. And dare I say, this is the epitome. This is the biggest, best set of calves of all time. Branch Warren. Who could defeat this guy in the calf department? Oh, I don't know anybody. Oh, wait a second. I think this guy right here may be able to do so. This is Eric Frankhauser. And no, these pictures aren't fake termite sacks, pregnant termites. This is unbelievable. This is historic, guys. Eric Frankhauser, he had a historic set of calves. Nobody ever had these, like I said, pregnant termite sacks. He competed 2006 till 2012, I believe. He even did an Olympia event. But still, not too many people talk about Eric Frankhauser and those massive calves. Some more modern examples, of course. Dallas McCarver, his calves, he was such a big dude too. They might even measure bigger round than Eric Frankhauser's. I figured I should at least mention Phil Heath and Kai Greene. Definitely not bad in the calf department. Of course, Kai, he's taking Phil to school here. Turn them around and Phil more than gets one back. Interesting, isn't it? Oh my goodness. Here's Brandon Curry getting absolutely dwarfed by William Bonac. Hunter Labrada, definitely worth to mention in my estimation. Another guy here, Quinton Uriah, incredible set of calves. And another guy, he's competing tomorrow Antoine Vaillant, take a look at his calves at the event tomorrow, the Vancouver Pro. Here's a couple of current dudes. Steve Kuclo, really meant to shout him out, but we'll throw Nick Walker in there as well. Steve, incredible. Here is Joel Thomas. He's going to the Olympia. Anybody know who Joel Thomas is? He actually beat Quint Beastwood at the Toronto Pro. So anyway, he might have the biggest set of calves of all the current competitors. Not exactly how tall he is, or sure how tall he is, but pretty big set of calves nonetheless. But anyway, guys, really hope you enjoyed this. Eric Frankhauser. Nobody. This is him, by the way. This is the picture I showed at the start. Those are Eric Frankhauser's massive big calves. Are they implants? I don't think so. They look genuine. They look fake because of the size, but they look genuine to me. Hit thumbs up on the video, guys. Let me know if you want more body part videos like this. Calves, biceps, glutes. If you want. Hit thumbs up. Subscribe. Have a great one.